You recognize that PMO was bad for you. You try to stop and you follow the classic advice. Cold shower, gym, meditation, and healthy habits. And yeah, all of that's good and worked for a while, still you relapsed. But then you discovered the EasyPeasy Method. Wow, something like this actually exists? You got the book from the hack author and you read that thing cover to cover. And suddenly you felt free. You were done, finally free from your addiction. Just like the book promised. 1 week passed, then 2 weeks, but then you relapsed again. And now you're sitting there wondering, how did this happen? I understood everything, I saw through the illusion. Why did I still do it? And if that's you, then this video is going to make everything click. Because EasyPeasy Method is powerful, but it's missing one thing: a framework that adapts to your real life. That's what the Accountabilio System brings to the table. Let's break this down. So here's the thing: EasyPeasy doesn't fail because it's wrong. It fails because it stops too soon. It helps you break the illusion, but not the patterns of your addiction. And if you don't replace the old patterns with something new, your brain slowly rebuilds the old one piece by piece. That's why people feel free for a few weeks, but then they relapse again. Not because they're weak, but because they didn't have a system to reinforce the mindset of freedom every time it was needed. What EasyPeasy does so well is that it reframes everything. It tells you that PMO isn't pleasure, it's poison. It also shows you that PMO doesn't relieve your triggers, it creates them. You think you're using to ease stress, boredom, or loneliness, but you're actually feeding those feelings. So each time you PMO to relax, you're reinforcing the very discomfort that makes you want to do it again. And at first, seeing through this, it's enough. You recognize the lie, you see through the craving, you feel empowered, and you think that I'm finally free. But over time, life happens. Stress, boredom, loneliness, and other bad habits compound on top of each other, and the old voice sneaks back in. It whispers, just once more, you need it, you worked so hard and you deserve this, or you can start fresh again tomorrow. And suddenly, you're back in the loop. Because EasyPeasy gives you the clarity, but you have to understand that addiction is a mental conditioning, and to break free, you have to break the conditioning. EasyPeasy says that once you see it, you're done. But addiction doesn't live in logic. It lives in patterns. You can't outthink or outlearn it, because when you're stressed, you don't need philosophy. I mean, quite frankly, you won't be able to pull up the lessons from the book, maybe for a couple of weeks, but it's gonna catch up to you eventually, man. You need a response. And if your response can't handle the pressure of that moment, you'll relapse. And when you relapse, the author of the book just tells you to reread the book. So that's what you do, you little bookworm. And it feels like a reset because now you remember everything again. It reminds you of who you want to be and it helps you see clearly again. But if that were enough, then you wouldn't have watched this video so far. Chances are that eventually you relapsed again and you're tired of it. You're tired of reading the book. You already understood everything mentally, but there's a part of you that still leads to a relapse. In EasyPeasy, they call it the brainwashing or the little monster. I call it the parasite because that's what it really is. Two programs. You have your conscious self and then you have your addicted self. It's that inner voice that pretends to be logical. It tells you that PMO will help you relax or that you've already failed, so you might as well just binge since this is the last time, right? It will lie to you over and over, and slowly you'll start to believe the lies. Because the parasite, it doesn't really want pleasure, it wants control. And every time you fall for its lies, you reinforce it. So the way out isn't to argue with it harder, it's to expose it. And that's exactly what Accountabilio helps you do. You use the 4-step framework to unwire the lies of the parasite. You see them for what they are and you answer them with the truth. Over time, you train your brain to stop falling for those lies and automatically process the urges in a way that creates a new condition, one of permanent freedom. So here's how the Accountabilio System actually works. Whenever you feel an urge, you disrupt it. You open the system or you grab a pen and paper and then you unwire the lies by writing out exactly what the voice says, word by word. Then you rewire the truth by writing out your counter response. It's simple. You have the lie and then you have the truth, the old pattern and the new pattern. An example would be that the parasite would tell a lie such as PMO will help me deal deal with stress, but the truth is that it doesn't fix stress. It just hides it or numbs you out to a point where you don't feel it. And once you're done, the stress is even worse. If you recognize this once, then you'll feel better. But if you do it the next 100 times the parasite lies this way, then your brain changes. Because repetition builds recognition. Your brain hardwires that, oh, this voice isn't me, it's the parasite. And just like that, you start reacting differently. You stop negotiating with the urges. Instead, you see them, you unwire them, and then you move on. This is the real difference between EasyPeasy and Accountabilio. EasyPeasy gives you the truth, but no structure to remember that truth. Accountabilio gives you the structure with your truth every time you need it, which makes it repeatable. It's also personal and adapts to the situation that you're in, and it also adapts to the triggers and emotions. That's what makes you accountable. It doesn't matter if you're stressed, tired, or lonely, the system stays the same, but you follow the process and your brain keeps strengthening the new response every time you use it and in every different situation. That's why I've been clean for 3 years. Not because I believed harder, but because I built a system that trains my brain every single time it mattered. It took the urges and turned them into opportunities to rewire my brain. Another thing with the Accountabilio system is that it's an app or a website, so it collects data for you. Since the method has you take ownership by being accountable, you note down what triggered you, when it happened, and how intense it was. Later, you can open the analytics page and actually see patterns that are putting you in a risk of a relapse. Because while having the system there to fight your battles is powerful, breaking the chain early is 100 times easier than fighting the urges later. If you see that Instagram or TikTok is one of your biggest triggers, then maybe it's time to recognize how you engage with those sources. I've talked about this a bit before, so you can check that video out here, but the analytics page will give you the possibility to make real change in your life, which is actually where a lot of the NoFap benefits are. So if you're done with relapsing, if you read EasyPeasy multiple times and you still relapse, then it's time to take the next step. Try the Accountabilio system free for 7 days. And for the first 50 people who subscribe, I'll personally jump on a one-on-one call with you to help you set up the system and so that we can fast track your recovery. And listen, man, it's your turn to live life free of addictions. Links in the description. I'll see you inside.